The hiatus of Philadelphia glam metal band Cinderella wasn't caused by internal disputes or creative burnout, but by a string of tragic medical issues, shifts in the global music landscape, and complicated legal problems. Even though they were one of the most successful bands of the 1980s with iconic albums like Night Songs and then Long Cold Winter, their run came to a tragic halt, mainly because of the health condition of lead vocalist and primary songwriter Tom Keifer. Here's a long, detailed explanation of why Cinderella went on hiatus and eventually broke up for good. 1. Tom Keifer's vocal cord medical issues is the main factor. The most crucial and long-lasting reason for Cinderella's hiatus was Tom Keifer's throat condition. Keifer was known for his unique voice, a high-pitched rock-and-roll scream mixed with a heavy bluesy rasp. That extremely demanding singing style eventually took a physical toll. In 1991, at the peak of the Heartbreak Station album tour, Keifer suddenly lost his voice mid-tour. After being examined, he was diagnosed with paresis, or partial paralysis, of his left vocal cord caused by nerve damage. The condition kept his vocal cord from closing properly when he sang. To be able to sing again, Keifer had to undergo 6 to 7 microsurgeries on his vocal cords over several years. Every time after surgery, Keifer had to relearn how to speak and sing from scratch. That rehab process took years, forcing the band to cancel tours, delay recording, and go into a long, unplanned hiatus, especially through the mid to late 1990s. 2. The music trend shift with the start of the grunge invasion. While Cinderella was forced to step back because of Keifer's voice issues in the early 90s, the music industry underwent a tectonic shift. In 1991-1992, Seattle grunge from bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden exploded and dominated the market. The glam metal, hair metal style Cinderella played was suddenly seen as outdated, too glammy, and irrelevant by the media and record labels. Because of Keifer's voice problems, their fourth album, Still Climbing, was delayed until 1994. By the time it came out, the market had completely changed. Even though the album was considered high quality and more heavy, mature musically, it was a total commercial flop due to lack of promotion from their label, Mercury Records, which had already shifted focus to the new music trend. Cinderella was dropped from their label shortly after, which triggered their first hiatus in 1995. 3. Legal issues and record contract problems. In the late 1990s, Cinderella tried to make a comeback. They signed a new deal with John Kalodner's Sony Portrait Records label for a new album. But bad luck struck again. That contract turned into a messy legal dispute. The planned new album never got finished because of internal label issues and contract disagreements. Tragically, the legal problems tied up the rights to their new songs, so Cinderella was legally barred from releasing new material for years. That killed the band's creative momentum and left them stuck in a recording studio hiatus since 1994. 4. Reunion tours derailed by health issues. Between 1998 and 2013, Cinderella actually came out of hiatus several times to do reunion tours to connect with their nostalgic fans. But they stayed on hiatus when it came to new music, and their tours were often disrupted. In 2008, they had to cancel a major tour with Warrant because Tom Keifer's vocal cords suffered severe bleeding, also known as a vocal cord hemorrhage. That incident forced the band to go dark for a long time again. 5. The end of the hiatus and the decision to break up for good. This long, exhausting hiatus finally reached a sad ending for fans. Tom Keifer focused on full recovery and eventually released a successful solo album, The Way Life Goes, in 2013. He felt the touring lifestyle with Cinderella was no longer healthy for his fragile physical condition. Plus, there was a rift between the band members that couldn't be fixed, caused by frustration over the band constantly being stagnant. In 2017, Tom Keifer publicly stated that Cinderella would never get back together. He made it clear that the internal issues and existing differences ran too deep, so their hiatus effectively turned into a permanent breakup. Any slim hope for a reunion was completely killed when their lead guitarist, Jeff LaBar, died in July 2021. Behind the big reasons like Tom Keifer's vocal cord issues and the grunge music invasion, there are some specific details, behind-the-scenes decisions, and internal dynamics that mainstream media rarely highlighted regarding Cinderella's hiatus. So the facts and information stayed hidden and are rarely known by the public. Including 1. Tom Keifer's depression and guilt. The public knew Tom Keifer's vocal cords were damaged, but few discussed the psychological impact on the band. Keifer revealed years later in interviews that he suffered severe depression during the 90s hiatus. In the original interview with Eddie Trunk and several rock outlets when releasing The Way Life Goes in 2013, Tom Keifer described the moment he had to tell Jeff, Eric, and Fred that they couldn't tour. The hardest part of the whole thing was the effect it had on the rest of the band. It's one thing to have your own career put on hold, but to know that my condition was preventing 3 other guys from doing what they love and making a living, that was a very heavy burden to carry. He felt a massive burden of guilt because he believed he was the main reason his 3 friends Jeff LaBar, Eric Brittingham, and Fred Coury lost their livelihood and momentum at the peak of their careers. The frustration of forcibly stopping his bandmates' dreams created silent psychological tension inside the band for years. 2. Jeff LaBar's alcohol dependency issues. In a brutally honest 2016 interview on Eddie Trunk's podcast, Jeff LaBar made a shocking admission few people knew. He openly blamed himself for Cinderella's hiatus in the 2010s. LaBar admitted that his out-of-control behavior due to alcohol on the reunion tour made Tom Keifer and the other members feel uncomfortable and unsafe continuing the band. Their relationship deteriorated not because of creative ego, but because of unresolved addiction issues. 3. The secret behind the album Still Climbing, 1994. A lot of people assumed their 4th album, Still Climbing, was recorded normally by the full band lineup. The truth is, the album, released in the middle of a tough period, already showed signs of cracks and desperation. For example, their original drummer Fred Coury had actually left the band before the album was recorded, because he had joined the band Arcade. Drum duties on that album were handled by session legend Kenny Aronoff. Fred only came back when the band did reunion tours several years later. Because Keifer's voice was so unpredictable, recording was done in pieces over almost 3 years. Keifer would often show up at the studio alone just to try to get down 1 or 2 vocal lines before his voice gave out again. 4. Failed secret projects that made the hiatus worse. In the late 90s, while Cinderella's status was in limbo due to legal issues with Sony Portrait, the members tried to launch side projects to stay afloat, but they rarely got major publicity, including Fred Coury tried a different musical path. Jeff LaBar and bassist Eric Brittingham started a new band called Naked Beggars in 2003. That project even featured Jeff's wife at the time, Gail LaBar Bernhardt. Splitting the members' focus across these smaller projects made their commitment to revive Cinderella fade even more. When reunion offers came in, they were often not hot, or ready as a solid, unified band. 5. Tom Keifer's No Cinderella, No Tour Agreement. The least known info is Tom Keifer's hard line in the final years before Jeff LaBar's death. After Cinderella went fully on hiatus post-2013, concert promoters offered huge money for Cinderella to do another reunion tour. But Keifer set a very strict internal condition. He wouldn't tour unless the members could commit to a healthy lifestyle and professionalism on stage. Keifer, who had to maintain his vocal cords with intensive vocal exercises for hours before every show, felt it was unfair if he worked hard while other members weren't in top shape. Because that lifestyle agreement couldn't be reached internally, Keifer chose to bury Cinderella for good and focus on his own solo band.